Which one is that one? Worship. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know. That's funny.
Welcome to another edition of Drawing Nature In. Today we will be talking about the Trivium process.
That looked great. That worked great. Wow.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
Our production values are slowly but surely going up.
We'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we're ready to go, like to the masses, we'll be pro team.
Heck yeah.
Do you want me to do the
Sure, you can, if you like.
Okay. Okay, so just sit up straight, put your feet on the floor. We're just gonna do that heart math thing, just to tune in and come to the present, and then I'm gonna call in some higher spiritual energy for us. So just breathe in and out. You can put your hand on your heart if you want. And just breathe deeply into your stomach. Let go of all the troubles of the day and just try to come into the present moment and focus on the breath. Just try to breathe into the heart as if the heart itself is breathing. So now I'm just going to ask the Creator to inspire us and give us intuitive thoughts and help us to exponentially make good work tonight and talk about higher concepts that might be useful to others and inform us with creative spiritual energy that will feed us throughout the week. And help us to bring solutions to the problems that we face in these interesting times. And so it is.
So it is. Another important thing to do too when you're trying to move your consciousness into the heart is try to have those feelings of compassion and love. It'll
Oh
help you
yeah,
get
yeah.
down there.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Oh, no worries. It's all good. Just the breathing itself is very, very good. And my camera on my canvas here. Maybe I'll paint something soon.
So I'm working on the inalienable right to worship as one would. And I just felt like it wasn't big enough. I didn't have enough space to put the paper clay on, so I just added this other cardboard on right here just now. And then it looks like it's in the sort of cross shape, which I found hilarious since it's about the worship thing. So it's more like it's an equal though. It's equal. It's like the four directions. So that's cool though. That was like intuitive. I had no idea I did that. So I just looked over it to see what the sigil was.
Good to cross your corrugates like that because it helps reduce warpage.
Oh yeah, no, this part, I mean, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. This one is, kind of like slapped together, not well thought out. Because I had done the circle part yesterday, but then I'm like, I don't have enough room on here to really do anything with the paper clay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have to change it. And then I put cardboard on that's too flimsy on the back. And then I'm like, now what? I have to support it with something stronger. And then so this all happened at around 4:15 tonight. You know,
Always convenient.
that's how things kind of happen for me. Like, and I just got this
Right.
package in the mail, and it has all this paper in it. So I'm going to use this paper probably. Hope it's not too crackly.
That'll be fine.
So,
Yeah, so if anyone's wondering what the Trivium is, it's a 3 road path to discovery is one way of interpreting it. And there's several different iterations that it can be articulated verbally as. There's one version is the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. It's a little bit more abstract than maybe just the simplest version, which is input, processing, output. And then there's the classical kind of grammar, logic, rhetoric version. And they're all the same thing. It's just different ways really of articulating it. And, the trivium itself is kind of like the sacred trinity, it's and one of the things that confuses people is in like the Christian religion and the Catholic religion, there's a thing that you say a lot where you go, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Well, that's out of order. So that confuses people because that's completely out of order. It should be the Holy Spirit, the Father, and the Son. Or actually, it's the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son or daughter. Or child, I guess I should say, because it could be,
well, it says it's the sun because of astrotheology.
Yeah, because it's a sun god tradition. That's why they say the sun, and so yeah.
Sun.
But yeah, it's because it's really the Father is the masculine aspect. The Holy Spirit is actually the feminine aspect, and then the child is the manifest of, after the processing happens. And so I just wanted to point out that they mess with the order of things to confuse people in the exoteric version of a lot of these religions. Because, you always have to keep in mind there's two sides of all religions. There's the exoteric side, which is the more like public, everyone hears this side of it, and then there's the esoteric side, which is a little bit more occulted and hidden, and people don't know about it as much. But yeah, back to the trivium. It's a very important process. It's the scientific method could be looked at as a version of the trivium, where you have, you collect your data with your experimentations, and then you have a hypothesis, and so and the data collection. That's all. Basically, the hypothesis is recognizing that there's a problem, or wait, hold on a second.
Where'd he go? What's going on, Woody? Huh. I don't know what's going on with him. What's going on? What happened to Woody?
Oh, I'm back.
Okay, cool.
I guess apparently I was muted, and then what happened was one of those scammers was calling my phone, which booted me off the Zoom call somehow. And then I didn't realize, so once I got it back, I didn't realize I was muted, so I started rattling off all this trivium stuff related to the scientific method, and then I realized I was muted. So apologize for that tech glitch, but we're back now, it sounds like, so I can go back into, I was talking about the scientific method as being part of the version of the trivium, where you have, your hypothesis. You recognize that there's a problem or there's something that you need to do some experimentation with. And then the actual experimentation is the processing aspect. And then the results of the experimentation, which would be called the conclusion, is the actual output portion of that trivium when compared to the scientific method. So humans, we have our five senses, and all five of those senses can be seen as a input. So you're inputting information is coming into your body from all five of those senses, and then your brain does the processing, and then your behavior is the output. So like if your eyes and your sense of feel, you see a fire coming towards you and you can feel the fire coming towards you, then your brain processes, oh, I need to run the other direction. So the action, the output is you actually start running in the other direction from the fire that's coming towards you. So you can see how important this can be. And this is also a method for how our society and reality is built, because information comes into a being and then they process that information, and then the output is how they're behaving in reality. And depending on what the information is and how it's being processed, you either end up with chaos or order in reality.
And this, the trivium is occulted because people they don't really want you to know how to think critically. They just want you to consume. So this is an occulted.
And then there's
Because like
also
nowadays you basically, when you want to solve a problem, you either go online and find the answer that someone else's answer, or you ask somebody's advice about what to do. And rarely, if we actually do the trivium, it's completely unconscious.
which sometimes some of that is part of the processing aspect of the trivium. Like you have a problem, my pipe in my wall broke, right? I can't afford to get a plumber. So yeah, I might have to ask the internet a couple questions, before I go to the Home Depot, what supplies am I going to need? Am I even going to be able to do this? And I might even have to like talk to like my wife or someone, a friend, and maybe that friend will be like, oh yeah, you can do it. It's easy. You just cut the pipe and like add some of the goop here and let it dry and you're good to go, And so sometimes, but that's good because you're sourcing things from multiple places. You're not just relying on one source. You're researching and sourcing things from multiple angles, which is how you find the truth in the matters, is by collecting an aggregate of data that you can process. If you just look at like, oh, CNN says this, so that's the end all, then you're not actually fully going through the processing
Exactly. So
aspect of the trivium.
in other words, you can use the internet as a resource to find part of the answer, but
Yeah,
it's not,
that kind of depends on what
instead of
you're looking
just
for.
going onto the internet to get an answer and then picking the top answer as the answer.
That's not always going to work.
It's probably not going to work. It hasn't worked. I mean, for me, I'm going through a process right now that I'm totally using the trivium for completely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a long and difficult process, but because I have the trivium to look at, I know that I'm not just blindly wandering around. I'm actually in the process of data collection and processing together. So in the end, I'm going to come out with a much better product than I would have if I had just accepted what one person said, just because it was what I thought easier, or because I didn't understand the trivium process.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, so for example, in this process, I've gotten some different people's points of view on things, and now I'm in the process of researching for myself by reading the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights and the Declaration of Independence. And then I'm gonna, with a group of other people, we're going to sort that stuff out, figure it out. What does it say? Not interpret it, but figure out what it means.
Yeah, but like get to the root of it.
And
And that's
then,
what the trivium is all about, is getting to the root causal factor of the problem that you face. Because until you get to the root causal factor, you don't have the solution.
right, and there isn't one solution fits all either.
No.
In fact, I think that's never the case. But I mean, people like to think that there is a one solution fits all for certain problems, but I don't think that's true.
No.
I think we have to use the trivium for everything,
Well,
however small.
That came out pretty publicly recently, where we had this corona virus, so-called, and guess what? They only have one solution for the problem, and that is get jabbed, right?
Right, get jabbed, man.
But that's not the truth. That isn't the only solution to the problem. There's multiple other solutions.
Right? Well, there might not even be a problem.
And there might not be a problem, but let's say there's a problem that, just saying that that's the only solution isn't really the answer. The answer is there's multiple solutions. Like, oh, there's this therapy, or there's that therapy, or there's, these vitamins, that if you take these vitamins, you're gonna have less likely to get disease and be unhealthy. Well, no matter what it is, and so, but like what they're saying is, oh, there's only one solution, and that's stick this in your arm, which isn't, true. That might be the solution for some people, but it's not the solution for everyone.
Well, it might be the solution for overpopulation, according to somebody. It may be not the solution for what the problem is being stated that it is.
Right. That could be, sometimes that's how it works. Sometimes the problem isn't what you think the problem is.
And then you find that out from doing the processing part of the trivium. You can get to the bottom of anything, because so in the input, sometimes you're doing all three processes at the same time: input, processing, and output.
It can be pretty fast. You're right.
Sometimes,
I mean, like if you see a lion coming at you, you process that pretty quick, and you start running pretty quick. And then part of the processing, there's another 4 liberal arts, they call them, in the processing, which is actually called the quadrivium. And this is, mathematics, art, music, and cosmology. And so if you can, process, you might need to use all 4 of those things to process the thing before you know what the real truth is, and the matter, depending on what the situation is, And right, then another, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to give this example. So, what I'm trying to figure out right now is the private membership association thing. So I'm just going to just throw that out there. So, there's like a layer of people that claim to have the answer to this, and they're selling it at a high price. And then if you get their answer, and then you happen to find out that there's another point of view on it that says that what you're doing is 100% wrong. And then there's no, because you just took someone else's answer, and because you were in a hurry and you just wanted to get your way or whatever, get it done, then you might do something that's 100% wrong, and you could put yourself in a lot of trouble. And
or even endanger others.
And yeah, and then but if you actually do the research yourself and take the time to figure it all out for yourself, then the process itself will make you into a different and better person. And then you will be able to not only have this thing, but also be able to defend it, which is really a very important aspect of it. But because of how, we are, or we have been programmed to be instant gratification junkies, most people just want to get the answer right now so they can do what they want with it. And that can really put you in a bad position in situations like this one, where you really have to do a lot of research, talk to a lot of people, reason things out, do a lot of history lessons, look deeply into things that have been occulted that were once commonplace, like our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, and then read what has become obscure documents like the Law of Nations, and but all this is to the good, because really we as the people should know this stuff anyway. But in order to know this stuff, you do have to use the trivium. You have to use critical thinking skills, and you have to be able to process the information, because it's not simple information, and it's not worded in simple English anymore, because we've been so dumbed down. So yeah, I mean, it's a very in-depth study. But the person that you end up being as a result of studying these things, it's quite obvious why they took it out of the schools. If they took it out of the schools, so we would not know our rights. And we have to know our rights now. Whatever reason gets us started in that process of finding out what our true rights are, which is going to be a trivium process. It doesn't matter, because we need to know what our rights are. And we have to use the trivium, because we have to reason it all out, because it's not going to make sense. Like, especially because so many of our rights are being violated right now, and we think, and we're just going along with that. So it's gonna be a real world rocker to realize how much of our rights are being squelched. That right there is going to be really a mind blower, So
yes, and it can black pill people sometimes.
What? Black pill?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Just discourage people,
Oh, I had never heard that before.
You
Yeah,
know,
I
or
mean,
just like, or it
it can be
scares people so much they don't even want to like accept it as the truth.
right. Yeah, it is pretty scary because we have sold out a lot for comfort in the last few generations. We really have. We have like a lot of expectations for comfort, and and behind that is a terror, absolute terror of not knowing how to handle situations. But there is a way to handle them, and that is, we can find that those answers in history, how they were handled before us.
Or sometimes, or we just have to act, you know, in a way that's not harmful to others, you know.
Well, I mean, we need to
Learn from the mistakes in this, in the history, you know, where harm was done or force was used, and reclaim that and be like, hey, look, I can take the high ground here, and we can figure out, you know, a non-violent way to, you know, figure this problem out. Versus, I feel like if you look at history, it's mostly just whoever has the most powerful gang wins.
well, no, not like with our forefathers. No, our forefathers spent quite a bit of time writing it out so that we wouldn't have to use
Well,
violence.
yeah,
It's
with
just that.
that, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, say for example, like our sheriff, for example, the sheriff is supposed to be is a constitutional um, servant, a servant of the Constitution. So if that person has been bought, then they're not doing their job, and they need to be replaced. And
Mm-hmm.
it's our job to know that. I mean, I don't think most people know that the sheriff actually has more power than the governor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the purpose of government. I mean, not that I'm a big fan of government, but um, the purpose of government is to secure our rights. That's all. That's the entire purpose. So you can see that our government has far exceeded its purpose and is now in extreme overreach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that I agree with our forefathers, because I think they believed in limited government, which I don't think is existable. But we're doing a study right now of that, so that we can know what was meant, what was meant to happen, even though maybe it didn't happen, and we're going to have to do things differently. But we do
Mm-hmm.
need to study what was meant to happen, so we don't just rush out and try to create something new without the information that we need. And that's the processing part of the trivium, that where we're gonna be processing, and it's going to probably take a while. It's going to take some time for us to process that information and embody that information. We actually have
Mm-hmm.
to embody it. We can't just
For
know it in
sure.
our minds. We're going to have to know it in our spirits and in our hearts, so
Right.
that we understand that we can't, that maybe our whole purpose in life is to stand up for freedom now, so that our children don't have to live in a world of complete slavery, without even the knowledge, without even the discoverable knowledge of freedom. Right now we still can discover freedom, and we really do still have time, believe it or not, to get it back. um,
Mm-hmm.
but if we don't do that now, then we're basically selling our children down the river
Right.
for complete, because they'll just get rid of all the information about it. Not that natural law will always reveal itself to people. It will always come through, like, so one way or another, but we can make it easier for our children if we stand up for our freedoms now.
For sure.
But see, the process of coming to understand that is a trivium process, because we don't have any idea how to regain what we've lost. That's going to be a whole process to try and figure that out. But at least there's a small group of people, which might grow into more people. We'll see. But
Well,
yeah,
it's like if you go back to the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. So if the information fed to the humans is controlled information, then whoever controls the knowledge controls the paradigm, basically, because the human behavior is based off of the information that the humans bring in. And kind of like that painting I was working on last week, I'll bring it over, where it was like talking about human nature being programmable. And you have this idea that each one of the game cartridges there is a different packet of information. And so the human, depending on which one of these game cartridges the human has running, or the program they're running, is going to depend on how their behavior, what kind of behavior they're using. And so that's why it's so important to look into information and understand, and even look to nature to get information from, because natural law is like part of our whole thing, is the fact that these man-made laws are redundant because nature already has laws. And if you look to nature, you can see these laws in operation, and you can learn from them. As that's one form of inputting, is actually paying attention to nature and how nature operates, and then using that as feedback for how you can operate. But there's other stream information sources that we're inundated with as humans. Like, we have the news on the television, we have school, if you go to school, we have the books and the publish, all the, it's kind of crazy that, like, I think there's like one or two publishers that publish like all the textbooks and stuff. And so these publishers, they're controlling the information that humans are receiving. And some of it is like, just humans are all receiving different information. And so then when we all group together, we're all running different programs, and our programs may not necessarily be compatible with each other. And so that's where you're seeing chaos. But if you look to nature and you understand, you use your intuition and you understand the difference between right and wrong, then, and you have self-ownership, then you can conduct yourself in a way that, isn't threatening other humans. And if everyone conducts themselves in that way, then you have peace on earth. But, not everyone's angels. I'm not an angel, I have my problems, but having that mindfulness to recognize when you are getting triggered or having, a situation where you might start causing harm to others is a great thing to have. Because if you recognize it, then oh crap, I'm out of line here. I better correct myself, before things start getting bad.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was actually with a friend of mine this week, and we did a ceremony where we called in nature. We called in nature, and all the animals came over. It was amazing. It was pretty cool.
Nice.
It was pretty amazing. All the animals came over and joined us while we were doing this thing. And
Nice.
Actually that falls into a stage of the Trivium, because we decided we were going to do something together, but we decided to invite nature in to help out. And so that's going to be the process part, because we invited nature in, and now we're waiting to see what nature brings us through magnetism, through the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And that process of doing that and mindfully inviting nature in to help us,
Mm-hmm.
then nature is going to be part of that input process. And
Uh-huh.
how we'll know is just by who shows up, what shows up. We
For
put
sure.
out the call like we did at the beginning of this session today. So really,
Uh-huh.
I mean, the thing is that what you can recognize is that we're really doing the Trivium all the time, but we're just not conscious of it. And so because we're not conscious of it and it's been occulted, then we don't have access to it as a process unless we become aware of it. And the problem is if you're very left-brained and you like to do things by the book exactly as they're written, then you're just basically following someone else's solution and not allowing a process to occur for whatever organic situation your thing is.
Mm-hmm.
you know um and that leaves out the importance of the present moment, because in every present moment is different from ones prior to it. Like, this present moment has never existed before and has its own solutions inherent in itself, that
Mm-hmm.
it's like would behoove one to know what they are, because if you want to do something creative and have something be new and alive, you have to be present for that experience.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is the Trivium at work, trying to be open to inputs from other dimensions or um, levels of awareness.
Well, also even just like paying attention to your intuition, because part of the process and is your intuition of the situation,
Oh yeah, a lot. I mean, I don't really use much more than that myself. My brain isn't. I feel like my brain is like an ancient engine, whereas my intuition is at lightning speed. So it's hard for me to use my regular brain for much.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, that's me, but I don't know. Other people seem to be able to use theirs, but mine is like um, retarded. I don't know. Oh, good. This is good paper. I mean, I think I've read, where you can practice using the Trivium, even if you like, are invited to go to the movies, you can say,
Uh-huh.
oh, I'll get back to you in 24 hours. And in that 24 hours, you ask yourself, you know, is going to the movies a good idea? Is this what you want to do? Do you like the people that you're going to go with? What's the purpose of going? Um, and then you might conclude that no, going to the movies isn't a good idea because you really don't like the people that you're going with, or you don't like the movie, and the reason that you were going to go was to, for a purpose that wasn't really of the higher level, and you could spend your time with your kids or your family instead, and then you know could conclude that no, that wasn't a good idea, or you could conclude, oh yes, it's a very good idea. You see what I'm saying? By just taking that time and to really use the process of the trivium, even for mundane
Oh yeah.
solutions.
Totally
And,
restarting my painting now.
oh, you restart. I didn't even see. Did you have something?
I was gonna do a trivium, like a nature version of the trivium, where you have like a seed getting planted, and then that's the input, and then the processing is like and what I like this one too, because the processing is easy to illustrate the quadrivium, because you can do the esoteric version of the quadrivium, which is the earth, wind, fire, and water. And so what you would have is you'd have the hand planting some seeds, and then the processing, you'll have, the where the seeds were planted, you have the water going on it, you have the sun shining on it, the air is blowing, um, and it's in the earth. So you have all four aspects of the quadrivium present in order to get that seed to grow. And then the output, I was going to just have like a strawberry plant.
So did you start it and you just didn't like how it was going?
I don't know. I just thought it was too elementary, maybe.
What?
Like, I don't know. It was just too like, I don't know. I was thinking maybe I should just kind of do the like layers now. My idea was to do like layers for like how reality is built, like you have the information layer, and then the understanding layer where all the dots get connected with the information. And then on the top, you get the, manifest, order, or chaos, maybe I should just have sticked with the plant metaphor.
Yeah, that sounds great. The plant, because it's nature.
Yeah. Maybe I'll go back to that.
I mean, that's why I'm doing like plants for all of my sigils, was because of nature. Because to me, it's kind of like a homage to nature.
Mm-hmm.
To just use the images of flowers, because because you can always see all of natural law if you just stare at a plant, and
Mm-hmm. Okay, now
so
you've
yeah.
talked me into going back to what I started, even though I already erased it all.
Well, it's probably because you don't feel so great that you had trouble making that decision, but yeah, this, like, I could totally have fruck out on this piece because I added like a bunch of cardboard at the last minute, like at 4 o'clock today, and I could really just say, oh my god, what the hell am I doing? But somehow I'm gonna make this work, just make it work. That's all. Or it's just gonna work because it's supposed to work, or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, try not to overthink it too much.
Yeah, I
But
think overthinking. That's why I erased my thing.
yeah, I mean, this is just
Overthinking it. I was like, oh, I got to get deeper and like do some, like, this isn't really representing the trivium. It's too abstract. Like, oh yeah, I know how to plant a plant. That's not the trivium process. Well, actually, it is.
Right, and it also includes the law of gender.
Yeah.
Because of the seed.
Right.
The seed being both male and female, and the generative principle.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the earth being the feminine principle.
Right.
There's quite a bit there. See, that's what I mean. Nature
Well, I
really
had a bee. I
contains.
could do a bee flying by too, which is kind of the representation of the feminine and the masculine. The bees carry around the pollen that from the male plants to the female plants and stuff, or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. We did a beekeeping class
And
last
guess what? The bee needs to do that.
What?
Or actually, the bee, sometimes it doesn't even have to be the bee. It could just be the wind is blowing the pollen from one plant to the other.
Uh-huh.
The bees are awesome. They help too. I'm not saying the bee doesn't have its place, but the wind itself can still help that pollination process too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, if we're not careful, soon we're going to be relying only on wind, because the bees are not being supported.
They're being.
It's weird. I don't know what the fuck people think. I mean, I don't know what the hell. It's just crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy.
But crazy bananas.
Crazy times, man. With
I
so
know, it's
much.
like they have like GMO plants that actually like kill bees.
Yeah, neonicotinoid plants.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Like, why the fuck would you do that?
Because it's not for the bees. It's to kill all insects. It's so the plant, you don't need a pesticide because the plant itself kills pests. But bees unfortunately are included in that because they're insects. I just don't get it. It's very short-sighted, Home Depot, was selling them, and then they claimed they were going to get rid of them by 2018, hopefully. But I mean, they're still being talked about. So, who knows if they did? I don't really trust anything anybody says anymore. Oh well, we'll stop doing that. Yeah, right.
No, I'm pretty sure they didn't, because I feel like I remember seeing like a picture someone took of a plant they bought at Home Depot, and they took a picture of where it said that, whatever it's called,
neonicotinoid.
Yeah, it said that right on the tag, like this plant is a neonicotinoid or whatever. And they were like, "Oh, I thought like you weren't allowed to sell these anymore." And that was like their post. They just posted that picture and said, "I thought you weren't supposed to sell these anymore,"
Right.
And that was probably like in like 2020 or something,
Yeah, I mean that's part of the agenda, is to get rid of our self-sufficiency, our ability to grow our own food and stuff. So, get rid of the bees, because I mean, it's so short-sighted. I mean, what are they going to do? They must be planning on moving to Mars or something like that. Or maybe they have a supply of bees to replenish with after we're all dead. I don't know what the fuck their plan is, but
who knows?
it's very short-sighted. But we can only do what we can do, and hope for the best here. To try to tackle all the stuff that's going on right now.
It's like I just don't like that humans were always like, and I don't think we're like this by nature. I think this is just kind of like we've been programmed in this way, and some more than others. That like it's like nature is actually our friend, but most people are programmed to think that nature is like something that we can exploit or is our enemy. It's like we're either going to exploit it for food or energy in some way, or it's our enemy. It's like, these pests killed my flowers or whatever. It's like, yeah, they killed them because that flower probably isn't even supposed to grow in this region anyways. course they killed it. They're like, this doesn't belong here.
That's funny that you say it like that. Yeah.
You know,
Really.
or it's like, why would they, like, I mean, these guys, these little insects, they're really important to the earth and to our being able to grow food and stuff, right? So do we have to look at them as like they're a problem? It's like, oh
Well, I
yeah, they're
mean,
kind of they're annoying sometimes, you know. Believe me, I hate mosquitoes and they're annoying, but like they've got some purpose, you know.
right. Just like, well, I mean, being a mountain guy, I mean, haven't you heard people refer to the elk as if they were like mosquitoes?
Yeah, they're like a nuisance. It's like, no, they're not a nuisance. They're a
No,
beautiful
you
creature.
moved into their habitat by
Yeah, it's
moving
like
to the mountains, dude. It's like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
it's like, hey, look, guess what? They're our neighbors. We share the planet. We don't, you know, us humans, we share this planet with a lot of other creature.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that how we think about stuff. Like, I mean, I think it's like the alien DNA that we have that makes us think like this. Honestly, I don't. I mean, because
I
I
think
think
it's just, I think part of it could just spawn from like our murky beginnings where, you know, nature was kind of, you know, I mean, in some ways we do have to battle nature, you know, but
oh, I don't
um
think we do. Like, I think we can, if you pray, like, I mean, my experience has always been like, if I pray, I get what I need, even if it's really gnarly. Like, I mean, even if things are really weird and fucked up, like if I'm in a hurricane or something like that, or a
right.
tornado, if I pray for help, I get the help. So, you know, it's just, it's like if you're not willing to ask for help from unseen forces, then yeah, you're screwed because you're gonna have to rely on your human um, solutions completely. And
Yeah, or it
that's
could even just
part of
be a
the
matter of
trivium.
perspective too, you know.
I mean, there's always a way out of every situation with help from whomever. And I mean, but that's part of nature to me is the unseen forces too, besides the seen forces.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, a lot of people don't want to believe that because
I
it's
mean, you know, I feel like in humanity's, you know, early beginnings, you know, we had a lot of like, you know, we had to protect ourselves from predators and um, get, you know, hunt and gather like enough food to survive and stuff. So there's a balance where, you know, you have to kind of work with nature. It's not necessarily battling nature, but you have to work with the tools nature gives you in order to, you know, be in harmony with nature. And then you can have abundance and security and all that stuff that everyone wants, you know.
right. But I mean, I'm not sure that abundance necessarily means what it means today. Like, I mean, I think nature provides you with what you need for the day, and then the
Oh
next day,
yeah.
next day. But people, humans want the security thing, which isn't part of nature necessarily, because if you're living close to nature, you could lose all that in one day.
I don't know, if you live smart with nature though and you really work with it, you could easily have abundance, you know.
Yeah, abundance, but not necessarily what we consider security. I mean, I think different people have different ideas of what that means, abundance. Like,
For sure.
I mean, you know that saying, live simply so that others may simply live?
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of times people think that they deserve more than their share, which, comes from fear of lack.
uh,
But
well, people have this entitlement these days where they're like, oh, like I'm entitled to this stuff because I'm, you know, a human in America or whatever that justification or rationalization comes from, you know.
Well, I mean, I think it comes from it's being fed to people, you know. I think it's being fed to people, um, trying to make people into, you know, they're trying to create a virtual reality of,
Mhm.
you know, so and in that virtual reality, humans provide the things that supposedly are needed so
Mhm.
that commerce can continue to take place. So they've replicated reality into a sub reality. And
Mhm.
so if you're like just living in that sub reality and you believe that that's real, then you're gonna,
That's kind of like what civilization is almost like a sub reality that humans created, you know, with man-made laws and stuff, you know, within the actual natural world.
yeah, exactly.
And most people are more interested in the synthetic world than they are the natural world.
Well, I mean, I just think that that's just, I mean, because if you're born into the system and you're not questioning the system, then yes, because you're trying to, you know, meet your needs, you know, through the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can, you know, it's airtight now pretty much, so that you might never venture outside of it and might truly believe that it's real,
Uh-huh.
um, and that there isn't any other way.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's one of the problems is that's what most people are already in that state.
yep, yep, I guess most people, I don't know, I mean, I don't really know, like,
Yeah,
I
I can't
can't
say that, I
make it.
guess, but like,
It appears that we've been hoodwinked, a lot of us, into believing, you know, I mean, I think when things, as things are being taken away, yeah, it's kind of like they kind of cut their nose off to spite their face there a little bit, because now people could wake up to the reality that, well, I'm still alive and I don't have my career anymore. So obviously, I mean, maybe I didn't need that or whatever.
uh-huh.
But and then, you know, have more of an idea of what life really is about.
Mm-hmm.
But um yeah, I mean, I think that's the intention. That's the intention, is to create that virtual reality and make people believe that it's better to live in the virtual reality than to live in nature.
Uh-huh.
Oops, shoot. I always drop huge globs of glue on my pants, and then I have, you know, it's too bad, but that's me.
Uh,
I always do that.
happens.
It's like a constant, like I never, you know, if only I was like Mr. Rogers and I would change into like a pair of work pants when I would do art, that would be so good. But I don't ever. I just wear my
Right.
clothes and then I just get shit all over my clothes. All my clothes have paint on them now, right?
Well, I did that before I came over here
What, you change your
today.
clothes?
Well, I have my pants because I was like, oh shoot, I'm wearing like brand new pants that
Uh-oh. Yeah, you don't want
I
to do
already got paint on once and luckily got it out. And so
that.
I'm like, probably I'm gonna wear these pants with the zippers broken on them one
That's
last
good.
time. If I get paint on them, who cares?
Yeah, there you go. So yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of like you. I like never. This is like the one time that I actually remembered to put on like pants I don't care about
Yeah.
ruining because they're old or whatever.
Yeah. I swear I have paint on everything. or just whatever the hell I'm using. I mean, I just don't think about it, unfortunately.
Why did I erase this?
Oh, are you starting over?
Yeah, I'm trying to do it, and I had like a much better start the last time.
Dude, I think it's just
It's all
because you're
right.
not feeling good.
It's all right. Yeah,
I
it'll be all
bet you
right.
that's what it is. You're not feeling good. So,
Yeah, I'm just not 100%. You know how it goes. Happens. But
yes,
that's the nice thing about oil paint. If you fuck up, you can erase it and start over.
start over.
Like, and the part of the problem is I'm trying to draw a freaking hand, and hands are like one of the hardest things to draw on planet Earth.
That is
I don't
true.
know if anyone's ever tried to draw a hand out there, but it is not the easiest thing to draw or paint.
You know what I did? This is crazy. Actually, I found this book, The Vanity Fair. This is back in like the 80s when I was still in New York. I found this book of Art Deco magazine Vanity Fair covers,
Mm-hmm.
and I basically started copying how they did stuff, how they made hands.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been using ever since.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just fell in love with that book and I just copied it a lot. I don't know. This was probably after school, after I got out of school. And then I just adopted, that's how I make hands, because hands are so difficult. And I wanted a stylized way to make hands.
Right.
That I could always just depend on. But I always forget, like, where the thumb goes. I always have to look at my own. Every time I do a drawing, I have to look at my thumb to figure out. Funny. I never learned that somehow. It's funny.
Right.
It's weird. Well, that gray stuff I was using was too flimsy so I have to go back and cover everything with this white paper.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's interesting because, going back to the Trivium and stuff, like I'm basically teaching this PMA course now. And I don't really, I don't have 100% on it, right? But I know, I knew that if I was going to learn it, I was going to have to teach it, right? So there's people in Denver, like there's this collective in Denver that calls themselves a PMA. And that's where we're meeting to do the course. And I looked at their paperwork last night and I was like, you guys really set yourself up, because they really use statutory language in their PMA paperwork. And it turns out that somebody I know who learned about it with us a while ago is the one that wrote their paperwork. And it was just like, I was like, wow, she really has balls to like think that she knows how to do this. And but what was kind of screwed up about it was, and how it has to do with the Trivium, was that I just told one of the people who's a member of the PMA about the statutory nature of their language, which is where they're alluding to the Constitution in their membership agreement. And and so she starts asking me all these questions, right? And I'm giving her some answers, and then I'm thinking, I'm not going to give her the answers. This is the opposite of the Trivium. The Trivium is not where I ask questions of someone else and then get their answers and make changes based on their answers. It's better for you. It's kind of like, teaching someone to fish rather than giving them fish. Like teaching someone to fish is the Trivium. Learning to fish is the Trivium. It's a process, but just getting fish isn't going to supply you with the knowledge that you need to get more fish.
No.
You see. And at some point I just told her, I was like, well, I think you're just going to have to take this course, go through everything we're all going to go through together, and then you guys will figure it out. Because I mean, I don't know. I know up to a point, but but I don't want to, have an ego trip about how I know this and I'm going to show you how to do it, blah, blah. That's not going to help anybody in the long run.
Right.
In the long run, we need to all learn this stuff for ourselves, and we need to learn how to fish. And learning how to fish is a process of trial and error, and throwing your line out there and sitting there and waiting and trying different things and observing the light and observing what the fish are biting. And that's the processing part of the trivium.
Like,
And
I'm going to try this bait. That's not working.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I noticed this fish like ate this insect over here. Maybe if I make my bait look like that insect, I'll catch more fish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. In that process of trial and error and learning and stuff, and engaging your brain and your memory and deduction and all that is gonna find you the answer in time, and find the answer that's best for you in time, and then you'll be able to use that knowledge for the rest of your life. Whereas if you just get my answers, then if you have to defend your PMA, you're not going to be able to defend it. And that's
Like
the problem that I've seen with all these people who are charging money for it. Because the people that are getting the PMAs from the people charging money have no fucking idea what, and they have to keep going back and asking the same different questions because they haven't embodied the principles.
Right. Of the how a PMA operates.
What the how like just being in the private sector, like we don't understand that anymore because we've been what happened?
Oh, I just suck at painting today.
No, dude, it looks good. It really does look good.
Yeah,
it looks good. No, don't.
I just have to fix one thing here. This is the processing, the trivium at work. Processing this painting. Doing an artwork is an example of the trivium because you start with a blank thing or nothing and you make something out of stuff that wasn't there before. So the actual painting of the painting is the processing, right? Or the sculpting of the sculpture is the processing.
Yeah, I have never done this before.
Inspiration.
I have not done this before, and this I could easily have thrown in the towel, but this is what I had to start with today. I mean, this is the kind of thing I would have probably not pursued if I was on my own and didn't have a place to be with something to do.
Right.
I probably would have said, "Oh shit," and thrown it in the trash and started over, but I can't.
Yeah, I almost did that about 6 times tonight already.
Yeah, I guess you have to have those days, right?
Yeah.
But that's part of the processing. That's why, I mean, I think that when they, make us into instant gratification junkies, the process becomes so frustrating to us because we don't know how to make mistakes. We don't know how to fail and how to have it be a learning experience. Whereas most of the time, people don't learn from their successes. They only learn from their failures. And that's part of the processing.
Yeah, you're not actually processing anything if you're not learning from your failures.
Exactly. I mean, and that's like a huge...
You got to fail forward, you can't just keep failing over and over again and never progress.
Well, I mean, how were you treated in school when you failed? Were you treated well?
When I failed?
Well. Yeah. I was treated like shit when I failed, and I failed every math test. I got a D. And I was they made fun. They, like, the teacher actually made, bully.
Yeah,
bully. It was
I
fucked up, man. That was a
I
fucked
had
up
some,
sitch.
yeah, some traumas in the school life or whatever.
Well, right. So I mean, but that's like that's not gonna encourage you to want to use a process, learn by processing and making mistakes, because making mistakes is a traumatic experience, but it's actually how we learn, making mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's like they've really made that
Well,
as unfun as possible with school.
it's like in school they expect like perfection out of the students, that it's like, wait a minute, these are like just kids, you know. Some of them, depending on what age you're talking about, don't even have like some of the brain function to even do some of that stuff yet,
Oh,
sometimes.
it's insane. It's totally insane. But I mean, I think it's part of the process of trying to deter people away from the process and away from, you know, um, from pushing through and
Yeah.
picking yourself up and starting again. I mean, you can say, oh, making mistakes is part of the process over and over. But if you got beat up for making mistakes, then you're going to be like, no, thanks.
Well, then you're just going to have learned helplessness, which would be, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to make a mistake when I'm doing this, so I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to be helpless about the situation, because if I do anything, then I'm going to make a mistake, so I might as well not do anything at all. And then
Right.
everything, there won't
And
be a
that's in the
mistake.
subconscious. That's like
I
goes
won't
into
make a
the
mistake if
subconscious.
I don't do anything.
Right. It goes into the subconscious, and then you don't even know that you're doing that. You don't even know you think that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you weren't somebody who was encouraged to learn from your mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't, at all. So I've had to retrain myself about that. And I mean, this whole thing with the PMA, I've got to tell you, like, I really wanted to throw in the towel, but
Yeah.
I couldn't. I can't throw the towel in because I have to figure this out for my. But I did. I
To
just
help,
finally
it's
did
well,
say
it's a
when it
way
came.
to help stand up and for freedom is what it is. That's why you need to figure it out, because you want to stand up for freedom, and this is a tool to do that with.
Yes, that's one reason.
And
The real
so
reason is because
without
I'm.
that, if you understand that tool better, then you can stand up for freedom more.
Yeah.
And the
Well.
real reason is based that a matter of freedom, you know,
Well.
freedom
No.
from extortion, you know.
Well, yeah, but I mean, honestly, to be really honest, the real reason is a selfish one. It's because I like my job and I don't want to lose it. But I did actually have to put it down. I had to say, well, I'm not going to push through this time, because the last time I pushed through, I didn't get anywhere. So this time I have to pause instead. So see, I learned that was a mistake I made. So I learned from that mistake, and I'm like, okay, well, this time I'm going to pause and try. And I'm also going to try to help some people with it, with what I know up to this point, because I know that that'll accelerate my learning.
For sure.
So, but I mean, in the past, normally I would never even have approached this process because it's too hard. It's way, way too hard. I would have never. I usually only do things that I could see that I could do. You know what I mean?
Right. Uh-huh.
And that's because of, not being taught that making mistakes is part of learning through experience. Maybe they
Mhm.
told me that, but then they didn't act on it. They said one thing and did another. They said, "Oh
Well,
yeah,
they made you feel bad about your mistakes and saying, "Oh, that's okay. Like, you made a mistake. Let's try again. No big deal. It happens to everyone. Everyone makes
no,
this
yeah, they
mistake
didn't
in the
say that."
beginning."
No,
you
they didn't
know.
say that at all. So I mean, it's like they were like seriously lying. They were saying one thing, but they were doing another thing. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm sure that's a lot of people have gone through that in school,
Uh-huh.
right? I mean, didn't you go through that?
Well, I had some just problems with, the way, well, when I was in school, they didn't like keep it secret that I was in a special education program. And so my peers always knew that I was going to the dumbass class or whatever they called it, and I got, ostracized for that.
But
And
I mean, so even being in special education, doesn't that basically
but even
why?
just that,
Why would you
that
be in it?
itself,
Why would you
that
even be
itself,
in special education if it was okay to make mistakes?
exactly.
You know?
But just even that itself is like, oh, you're special or you're not, you have a learning disability. That like they're telling me that, and I'm just a kid, and I'm like, I'm starting to believe that I have like this disability now. You know,
Right,
it's like,
but that right there, it's just not true. It's like you didn't have a
well,
learning disability. But see,
I know.
that's
I'm
what's
just
I mean.
saying that that's what's messed
It's
up about
totally
it. It's like
dishonest. They
they're
tell
like
you,
they they made me. They could created a division between me and the rest of my peers, and me and a handful of other kids that went to the special education class were like the dumb kids, right? To our peers, and it created a division line there, you know, and so that was unhealthy, and it has affected my confidence probably my whole life, you know, maybe
right,
even to this day. I mean, I've overcame a lot of that stuff, but even to this day it probably still affects my confidence. I just
right,
don't
exactly. I mean, but
realize
that's
it.
exactly right. So that's why they're full of shit when they say that when they tell you that mistakes are part of learning, but then they put you in special ed, then they're telling you one thing, but they're doing another thing. Because then why if mistakes are part of learning, why couldn't you just be in regular school?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because then
Right.
you just would have been learning. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you weren't, learning as fast as the other kids, but there's something wrong with what how they're doing it, not with you.
I think there was. Yeah. And I think that, well, I think that, everyone gets labeled with this age. Oh, well, you're born this date, so you're this age. But everyone develops at a different rate, you know. Just because you have 2 3-year-olds doesn't mean they're both going to be developmentally in the same place. You know what I mean? It's even like how people age is different too. It's like some people, they have like gray hair by the time they're in their 30s or their 20s. Well, some people almost never get gray hair at all. And like that's just a different way that they develop developmentally, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And the same thing is true with kids. Like I said, if all 3-year-olds are in different places developmentally, you know? You
Yeah.
can't blanket be like, oh, all these kids, since they're 3, they should all be in the exact same place developmentally, you know?
Oh yeah, no, exactly.
Just like we were talking about before, oh, there's one solution. Like, oh, there's this virus out there, and the only solution is a vaccine. There
A
isn't, or we
jab.
can't.
It's not a vaccine though. It's not a
Well, I
vaccine.
know, I know. And then, or they're like, oh, like, and then people are coming out with these therapies, like, oh, like just do this therapy if you get it, and you'll be fine. Oh, you can't. Oh, that's not. You can't
What?
do that.
They're doing what?
You can't do that therapy because that's against our narrative of the shot thing, you know? We can't have people doing therapies.
Oh, I
That's
don't, I
not
don't,
how
I
it's.
don't.
That's not the solution. The solution is the shot, not the therapies.
Oh, I don't know about this. Somehow I don't know about this.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know, there's more than one solution to every problem, usually, and they always try to just convince us that there's only one solution to a problem.
Well, that's because they don't want to admit that we are unique individual beings because they want there's an ultimate agenda here to make us all into robots or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
for their purposes. And so they don't want us to believe that we have each got a unique individual personality and purpose, and that we have our own unique individual connection to the unseen forces um, that is could be our power, because then they're going to lose power. They don't want
Mm-hmm.
us to know that stuff, because then they won't have the power. They won't, we might
Mm-hmm.
figure out that we don't need to consume 10,000, we don't have to consume shit in order to,
To survive, yeah.
yeah, to be here on Earth. We don't necessarily have to um, be consumers. Well, they don't like
Right.
that. I mean, because that's how they get the fake green paper out of us,
Yeah.
which I still haven't really understood why they use fake green paper, except I guess to control us. That's probably what it is. It's
Well, it's a
about.
control system because what they do is they hoard all the goods, and then if you don't have the fake green paper, you can't get the goods. They convince you that you're helpless, and so then you have to buy all your food from them, and then so if you don't have the green paper, you can't get the food, right? And then it's on all aspects of life. The green paper flows down into all aspects of our lives. Oh, well, so you bought a farm and now you're going to grow all your own food and you don't need the green paper anymore. Well, actually, you do need the green paper because you have property tax or whatever it is, and then if you don't pay that, we're going to, you know, put you in a cage.
Take your property.
Yeah. It was never yours to begin with.
It's still
It's
not yours,
ours.
just because we don't even have our title to our property at the moment, and our deed says that we're renting the property from the state. Most
Yeah.
people don't realize that, but we're going to have to deal with that too coming up. That's why, like, when they said that we're going to not own anything and we're going to be happy, if that shit's already true, because we don't own anything right now, because we don't have the actual true real title, even with
Mm-hmm.
our cars right now. We're going to have to deal with that, but one thing at a time.
Yeah.
One thing at a time. But that's pretty fucked up. That's another part of it. I mean, this is
Yeah.
stuff I actually saw a long time ago, but I was so flabbergasted. I thought, oh, I can't, like, see, I had the lack of confidence because of my fucking schooling, and I just thought I was wrong. I must be wrong. There's no way that can be true, I thought. But it is
Right.
true, actually. It is actually true. And I just lacked confidence, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because thanks to my lovely schooling that, basically told me I was dumb. So,
Yeah. It's, I don't
fun
know. It's
shit, man. Fun shit.
fun
But,
stuff.
I think I feel like we do have some time, not that much time, but I feel like we have time enough to get in gear together.
Yeah. No, for
Um,
sure.
I'm
I
not
think so.
sure, we'll see, but I ain't sitting around waiting for them to come and do whatever the hell they want to me. That's for sure.
No.
Nope. And so therefore, like, I have to learn how to think for myself, which is why we're talking about the trivium, the trivium is a great way to think for yourself. And the other thing that's good, I mean, I think logic and debate is good. And I think you can use the
Yeah,
trivium to practice logic and debate,
for sure.
which we did last in autonomy. Did you get to do that?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That was kind of
That's
fun.
that was one of the integration things
Yeah.
where you have to like just do a stance and then, yeah, no, I did that.
See, I never would do this. This would be this thing that I'm doing right now. This is so, it would be so boring to do by myself. Oh my God. I'd have to put on some really rockin' music to get through this.
Right.
No, I mean, I actually, it's so funny because I actually thought I was going to bang out these last 3 pieces. That was hilarious. Ha ha. No, that's my
Yeah, you
mind.
always think that you're like, oh, these last couple ones are going to take like no time at all.
Yeah, no, they're total. That was
That's
totally.
why I think every time I started painting, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'll easily paint this whole thing in 3 hours.
No, no, because each one has its own thing. It's like it's got its own spiritual purpose, and uh, I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
So yeah, like this one, I thought I was going to get it done tonight, but I don't think so. I don't even think. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to get to work on it, the painting itself tonight. Maybe if it dries, I can, but I may not even get to work on the actual paper clay part. Oh,
Like
well.
it's like, knowledge, understanding, wisdom. So our understanding of our surroundings, you know, affects how we behave. And, a lot of people, and there's a beautiful example, actually not a beautiful, but a creepy example of that just happened, 2020, when the information that people were given was there's a thing out there that you're going to die if you leave your house. And so a lot of people stayed at home and stuff, right? And like, but just how powerful that was, that like so many people bought into that and just stayed at home and were freaked out about the
Oh
whole
yeah,
thing.
I saw a guy in a Mercedes behind me today wearing a fucking mask by himself in his fucking car. And I was just like, well, good for you, dude. You're rich enough to own a Mercedes, but you're dumb as a fucking post.
Yeah, or just like, I don't know, like just how it's like that information, you know, being understood as like, oh, there's something bad out there that's going to kill me, has freaked everyone out, you know.
Yeah, it's
Not
insane.
everyone, but a lot of people. It's just like insane that like,
It's crazy.
I don't know.
Totally fucking crazy. Oh yeah, no, it is totally crazy. And there was no engagement. I mean, this is like, so we just got done saying that the trivium is a scientific method, but we didn't use the scientific method to determine whether or not this was a real thing or not. We just
No, we
believed.
just believed it. We're
I
just like,
mean,
oh, the TV said so. Like that painting I did a couple of weeks ago. The TV said so, so I'm gonna believe it. And then the
yeah.
other
So therefore,
character,
you're not using the trivium for that process.
yeah, you're
That
not going through the discovery process. You're just blind belief. The difference between blind belief and actually discovery is, oh, use the trivium and you might actually discover something versus blindly believing it something.
right? Exactly. All right. I guess I have
But
to.
it's easier, in this world of instant gratification, it's easier to just blindly believe things because then you're instantly gratified. Oh, they already did the research for me, so I don't have to do the research myself now. Or I really like Fox News, so I'm going to trust Fox News. I really like CNN. I'm going to trust them.
Right. Or, it's like,
I'm going to trust that Twitter is not going to censor anymore because now Elon Musk owns it.
whatever that means. That's funny. That's fucking funny, man. That's like a guarantee that it's going to be censored. It's like, whatever. Okay. Whatever you say. Dummy. I mean, really. That's funny.
Well, Elon Musk, he said that he wants it to be like the town square where everyone has a voice and no one should be censored. That's against our free speech rights. Yeah, let's hope he's true about that. Let's hope he really is standing up for that.
Oh yeah, Elon Musk. Didn't he like
Someone needs to that has that kind of power and money.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
Don't
I
even
don't know.
think that. I
I
mean,
don't know
the
if that's
guy
a
who
real
created
thing.
Telegram is like he's part of the World Economic Forum, but he's created something which we're just probably being monitored on there, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're just using that to monitor people, all these social media, so they can decide which encampment you go to.
oh yeah, right. I'm sure. Like yeah, probably. I don't know. Okay, probably. You're probably right about that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna think that way, but
Nah, I don't think that's gonna happen. But
yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. No, I think it's gonna be right here in our own here.
honestly, we'll probably blow ourselves off this planet before something like that would happen.
Oh, you really think so? I think we're
I
gonna
don't
blow.
know. I don't know about that either, but I'm just saying, like, the way people like violent force, it seems like that's
Yep.
I thought warmongering was supposedly obsolete. Well, that's the way to power, I guess. It seems like, you know, the biggest thug armies, the rulers. And that's okay though, because you can be a thug army. You can be a thug on this world because Jesus already died for your sins, so you can't sin.
What?
Right? Isn't that what Christianity says? That he does died for our sins, so it doesn't matter if we sin because we're already forgiven because of.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't play. I don't play. I don't play this word games. Those are word games.
I know.
I don't play word games. Yeah, I don't know about. I mean, that's what I was like. So, I was
Is that
watching
what
this chick.
people's rationalization for why they are egotists and take advantage of others? Oh well, I'm not. I can't sin. I'm already forgiven for all the sins.
Who
And
did you ever hear
Jesus,
anybody say that? Have you ever
what?
actually ever heard any? Has anyone ever actually ever heard somebody say that? Have you literally heard somebody actually say that?
Oh yeah, I have.
You have?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, I've heard people say that.
Huh. Wow. I have never heard anybody say that. But that reminds me of like what I was listening to Chris Ann Hall. Have
I
you
think
ever heard of
the
her?
individual who said that is a very confused individual. But
Yeah, very confused. Did you ever hear Chris Ann Hall? Do you know who that is? A
No.
constitutional attorney. She's Christian. That she's very cool though. She's a very interesting person. She's a constitutional attorney who does presentations about the Constitution, and it's amazing. She's pretty amazing, really. I mean, she's got a bunch of YouTubes and stuff, and so that's kind of what we're using right now. Just get a brief overview of the Constitution, because we're so dumb. Like I don't think I could handle just reading it. I think it'd be too hard. So I'm listening to her, and she said, that the Supreme Court justices say that we've evolved past our forefathers, therefore our Constitution is no longer sorry about that, no longer relevant.
Relevant.
And they basically say that oh shit, that you have to interpret the Constitution. This is what, like, no, you don't actually have to. You just have to apply it. You don't need to interpret it. You need to apply it. But that's where we're at. Like, we think that we're so much smarter now than we were back in blah blah time, and so we think that we're that our founding fathers hadn't thought things through and stuff like that, and that's what you're saying about like Elon. I mean, I'm sure there's something hidden in what he's saying.
Oh yeah,
that's not that's not true.
Right.
It's not. I mean, somehow it's hidden. He wants it to be like the town square. What town square, dude?
Right.
I
don't know. I'm not even on it, so it's not.
What is the town? What do you mean you're not on what?
Twitter.
Oh yeah, I'm not on Twitter either. That Twitter to me was like the most insulting thing. I was just like, oh my God. I'd rather go outside and listen to birds. Twitter, thanks.
Right.
Doing that. Yeah, no, Twitter. I was just like, ugh, no way. That's insanity.
I don't know. I feel he wasted his money, in my opinion.
Well, no, I'm sure he will have a great influence on there. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason he bought it.
Oh yeah.
Or he's probably just going to censor everybody, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what his agenda is, but he's
a billionaire.
He's got some ideas of what he wants to do and stuff, and
yeah, right. I mean, he's the one who, like, he's totally pro 5G. He's a shit.
I don't know. I heard he's supposed to be coming out with his own cell phone pretty soon, and it's going to be a satellite phone. And so it's not going to matter where you are, because it's going to be from the satellite, your reception, which I think that's something completely different than 5G. He's going beyond 5G and being like, oh, why doesn't everyone just get a satellite phone? And then he's like, oh, and since it's operated on the satellites, when we go to Mars, you're going to have service on Mars too.
Okay, good. Well, you can go to Mars, you guys, and just leave us
here. I'm not planning on going to Mars, but I'm just saying, like, that's part of his thing. He's like, oh, since I own SpaceX and I have satellites and stuff, then I can, I don't have to I don't need Verizon or AT&T. I just use my own satellites. Do it that way. He's like, I'm going to give people what the cell phone companies already should be giving people anyways. It kind of seems like to me, it's just like a slap them in the face. Hey, look, the technology exists where everyone could have a satellite phone. why doesn't everyone have a satellite phone? So I'm going to implement it since you jerks
Well,
are.
we'll find out if it's like good.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying like that. I feel like that kind of like how we operate sometimes. He's like, hey, look, we have the technology to do this stuff. Why are we dragging our feet and not doing it?
Money?
No, it's not money because there's plenty of money.
Well, I mean,
Well,
it has to
it's
do
funny.
with.
It's all fake, anyways.
Well, I know it's fake, but that again, it's because that's why we're still using petroleum energy instead of free energy, because they want to control us through the monetary system. That is why.
It's not done exploiting that, and it's centralized. If you start using free energy, it's decentralized, and they can't control that, and you extort money out of you for it. Like if everyone has an exercise bicycle inside their house that powers their house, you don't need an energy company. Right? I mean, all you need to do is spend an hour or two on your exercise bike and you'll have power. If you need to have power.
I have to redo one of my pieces, so I have to make another flower of life. So I'm using that marvelous compass that you gave me for Christmas.
Yeah, that thing's nice, huh?
It's a monster, man.
I figured that way you can draw bigger circles, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely can. And probably draw them on wood too.
Yeah. Well, it's a woodworking compass, I think, actually. But I figured you don't have to use it for woodworking.
No, but it's cool. It's definitely cool. But I have to start over because this one, I kind of got bored or something, and I didn't do a very good job with this last sigil. So I'm like, oh, I figured out what I want to do with it, and it's like, oh, I have to redo that whole one. That's okay. I'm waiting for the other one to dry right now. So while I'm waiting for it to dry, I'll just do this flower of life, which I've already messed up, but it's okay. I'm not going to make it perfect. There's no way I'm going to make it perfect. I can already see it's not perfect.
Oh, my hand looks like a bag of sausages.
No, it's good. It's fine. Just don't erase it. Please, please, please. It's cool.
Oh, at this point, I'm definitely not erasing it.
No, all you have to do is put a little shadow on there. You'll be fine. I'm surprised nobody came in today. That's a bummer.
Oh,
they said they were. They asked me, like, are we going to draw tonight? I'm like, yeah. No, they're not in here.
That's all right.
Oh, well.
That happened.
It's okay. Someday it's going to be huge.
Someday. That's all right. I noticed Chris canceled his other thing tonight too, so he must have something going on.
Oh, what was he going to do tonight?
His True Care network thing.
It's on the same night as we do our thing?
Yeah, it starts at like right after us, like right.
Oh, right after us.
Yeah, so it starts at basically.
He might be working because there's something they're doing.
8 p.m. It starts at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays, Mountain Time.
Oh, really?
And so.
Oh, okay. Well, they are doing.
Well, I just noticed he posted something. He's like, "Oh, the thing's canceled this week," so he must have something going on.
Well, they're doing something at work there. They're launching 2 things
That's probably
today.
why then. That's probably why then.
And I don't know, he's in the center of things. I'm not. I'm kind of on the outskirts.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I don't want to work 40 hours a week, I guess. I'm guessing that's what it is. Someday
Well,
I
isn't he
may.
doing like graphic design for them? So he's like pretty much everything they do, they're going to need like an image from him.
Yeah, I guess
So
so.
he's triggering all that complexity and figuring out how to use graphic software. And
Yeah. No thanks. God, I really don't want to do that. I got my visual arts journal today from School Visual Arts, and
oh yeah,
everything is Illustrator. It's like, boy, that's crazy.
oh in Illustrator,
Yeah, everything's in
like
Illustrator. I'm just like,
graphic
wow.
or digital art.
What happened, guys? You don't use like paint anymore? No, probably
No,
not.
it's easier when you have Control Z. Way faster than having to wipe your painting off. No, so what you do is you do everything in Photoshop and Illustrator, and then you print that out on a canvas, and then you paint the canvas so it looks like you did it by
I
hand.
know, and that's why when you go to galleries and stuff, it's like, who did this? It looks like a machine did it. Oh, because it did.
Right?
Oh, it's because the machine did do it.
Like, how did you make that? Oh, well, I programmed the CNC router and it carved this for me.
Right, man. It's like so insane. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I can't relate to that. I guess I'm gonna try. Maybe I'm gonna do a bigger one because I really want to do. Have you ever been on Simbi? You might like
No,
Simbi. You gotta
what's
check
that?
Simbi out. It's a okay. It's like a barter platform where they use Simbi currency, which isn't a cryptocurrency. It's just Simbi, and you just do your service for Simbi currency. It's like a Skillshare.
Oh, okay, it's kind
It's
of
really
like
cool though. It's really cool. There's some really cool people on
Trade
there.
Bank or something like that.
Huh? What?
There's one that's been around for years called Trade Bank,
No. It's
and
something.
you it's different than that. It sounds a lot different, but it's similar. Where like Trade Bank, it's kind of similar to you have like your service, and then like instead of getting paid money, you get paid credits within the Trade Bank system, and then you can use those credits at other companies that also use Trade Bank.
Oh, really? No, this is just within Simbi.
Yeah, like it's like this guy I used to work for used it a lot, and he was always giving me like gift cards to places because he was getting them from the Trade Bank stuff. So he'd be like, "Oh, like here's like a gift card to this Italian restaurant."
Oh, that's neat. No, this is just no. I got a. I was just telling you because I got a really great astrological reading from somebody on Simbi yesterday,
Nice.
and it was really she's very talented.
Yeah,
But
should be a good
I
one,
have a
huh?
bunch of Simbi currency that I haven't spent because I've done so many readings myself on there.
Okay.
And I have like so much Simbi currency. I'm like, you know what? I should just spend the Simbi and get some really good shit. But it's mainly services, like readings and Reiki. And I mean, there's other stuff on there. People,
Like, can you get like a haircut?
no,
No.
no, it's all online.
Yeah. So that's what this trade bank was nice about it. You could actually take it, and if there's local companies that are part of it, then you could go actually get a haircut.
Oh yeah, for sure. They have, I mean, that's similar to the local currency in Summit County, which is Ithaca hours. They had Breckenridge hours and stuff. You could definitely. No, this is just online, and I actually developed my orograph practice by doing it on Simbi for a
Oh,
while
okay.
before I got into autonomy. I did
I think
Simbi, and
maybe
then
you
I.
did send me a thing about it like a couple months ago. I think you sent like your profile or something on Simbi.
Yeah, maybe I was gonna try and do something. Make coming on to the salon a service.
I think that was before we even knew we're gonna be a salon.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I think that was way back when we were still Mystery School of Art.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, maybe we could put our course on here or whatever."
Oh, probably.
As a service or whatever.
Right.
Which we could do. I was thinking about adding a section on our website for courses. Just kind of a discrete like, oh, so maybe we need to think up some courses or something that we could put in there.
Courses.
Like, you have your intuitive painting thing, and we could do other stuff too. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't have anywhere to do it. That's the problem right now. I'm just trying to figure out where the hell I would do it. I'm kind of waiting for that to show up, where I would do it. And so I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some other courses I could do besides that, but
yeah, we'll think about it, because it might not hurt to have just kind of a description of what courses we offer on our website.
oh yeah, for sure.
Just so if people are like, oh, they say they do courses, but there's nothing on here about any.
Oh yeah,
courses.
we don't have what? Oh, we don't have any courses on there right now.
No, we just have sign up for a consultation, and we'll tell you about
okay. Well,
courses.
maybe we should put like we're doing. We can.
Well, I was going to do a section like course, fundamentals of painting.
Yeah, do that.
Whatever ones we decide to do. So we can have a discussion about that at another time, I guess.
Yes, we should definitely.
I guess just think about it. It's like something that you think that you want to do.
All right, I will think about it.
Because you're saying that Andy might help.
Oh yes.
Put the word out for us, and so if we have those authors there, then
that's true.
If we easier.
We could. I mean, we could. I would have to figure out where the hell to do it. Like I was thinking, I could probably rent Blowback and do it there, but I just don't want to rent it. I don't want to spend any. I don't really have anything to spend on anything.
Right.
So I'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, we could think about that. Oh shoot. Darn it. I was kind of hoping.
Well, part of it, the other day, Chris was like, "Oh, maybe I should talk to you guys if I have Photoshop questions." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe I should do a Photoshop cat class or something for people."
You should.
I mean, I don't know everything about it, but I know a decent amount. I could teach people the basics and stuff,
Sure. So let me just look here and see if I have two yet. Nope. All right.
7 o'clock.
Oh,
Man.
man.
I made this tea for myself that I brought.
What?
I'm glad I made this tea for myself that I brought.
Oh, you brought tea?
Yeah, I brought some Earl Grey tea with me to stay hydrated.
I have to go find an eraser because I just, you know how the compass slips out of your hand and you draw a big line.
Oh, yeah. I love it when that happens.
Yeah. Not. I have to find an eraser. This studio is totally atrociously messy now. Which is
that
where...
means you're working.
Oh my God, like nonstop. And there's no way I can even clean it because I'm in the process. I kind of cleaned it a slight bit tonight because I was like, oh my God, how will I find anything? But I have to.
Right? You got to be able to find your stuff, right?
I had to. Yeah, I have to. But now I have to find what the hell I did with the eraser, though.
Uh-oh.
Well, I just found the compass, right?
There you go.
But I don't have to find the eraser. What eraser was it? Let me think.
You found that.
Oh, there's an eraser. Woohoo! Yippee!
Yay. Crisis evaded. There's an eraser.
Yep, I drew a big line. That's so nice.
But yeah, it's like, I was just thinking too, like another piece I could have done is it's like, if you don't, with the Trivium, information goes in, it's processed, and it goes out. But if the information going in is garbage information, you're going to process the garbage and then you're going to still have garbage coming out the other side.
I think that's what happened with me with some of these ass wipes that call themselves experts.
Yeah, it's like garbage in, garbage out, right?
So now that's why I feel like I have to do this myself. I mean, I just think everybody in this whole community of PMA creation argues with each other. So there's no way to know what the truth is unless you do the research yourself and find out what the Constitution says.
For sure.
And it's like, oh God.
Maybe even it might benefit to read that Law of Nations document too.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do. There's a bunch of things. See, this one dude actually says,
because that's interesting, like international law, and it's like they've been talking about that recently. Like, is Putin, breaking international law with this war in Ukraine? Blah blah blah. All this stuff. So it's like, is that where international law comes from the Law of Nations? Where does that come from?
Yes. That was like the precursor to the UN, I think. And the Universal Commercial Code comes from that's the the what is used around the world.
So the Law of Nations, yeah, that's an important thing. It sounds like to know about.
Uh-huh. Well,
maybe they should be teaching that in school.
Yeah, right. Good luck. Should be, but I mean, not for the agenda they're after. They're teaching exactly what they need to be teaching for the agenda that they are after.
Well, it's funny too, because it's like they're not, my wife's a teacher, and when she was in school learning how to be a teacher, they're like, oh yeah, like school is basically just there to train employees to work in corporations.
Who said that?
The professor at her college.
Told her that?
Yeah.
And she still wanted to do it?
Yeah, because she was under the impression that corporations were good and that
Oh,
teaching people to work for corporations was helping them be active, participating members of society.
oh, interesting.
I mean, I don't know if that's exactly how it went, but like, that's kind of like their justification for their
Oh, so her
the
professor was saying that
rationalization.
like it was a good thing?
Yeah, like it's
Oh,
a good thing that they're
what?
teaching people
Jesus
to be good
Christ.
little employees. Yeah, that's what I mean. They're
Oh, that was
teaching
a selling
teachers.
point.
Yeah, they're selling teachers on
Yeah.
that it's a good thing that we're brainwashing children into being
Oh, Lord.
employees.
Jesus God. Lord, have mercy.
Right? I mean,
I'm sorry, but man, I think I might have known. I don't know. It's just
that is just weird.
well, believe me, I talked to my family this because my brother had a quadruple bypass a couple weeks ago. So I've been kind of
Uh-huh.
talking to them. And like talking to them is like talking to Punch and Judy, honestly. I swear to God, like because they're all jabbed and everything, but yet they say things like my sister-in-law, I told my brother, I was like, why don't you, I'm just checking out this heart math thing, right? And then my sister-in-law is like, "Oh, I'm a heart math instructor and coach." And I'm like, "How can you possibly?" I didn't say this. I'm like, "How could you possibly be a heart math instructor and coach and be jabbed? I mean, didn't your heart tell you something?" This is just what blows my mind. I'm like, "How? How can this be? How? Like what?" I'm like, "How come my heart didn't told me the opposite? It told me to run."
Yeah, I don't know. It's like,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Just weird fucking shit, man. I mean,
that's
like
weird.
say, okay, there's this one chick, Michelle Small, right? And um she's behind she learned from the Findhorn people how to call in the nature spirits. She wrote all these books about it. It's really fascinating, and that's what we're all using. When I say we all, I never knew anyone who used this stuff for years. I've been using it for years, since the 80s. And I just met a bunch of people who are using it here in Colorado, which is just amazing to me. Well, I mean, so she talks to the nature spirits. They help her grow stuff, and she gets all this obscure information from them and everything. And yet, I go on her website, and she's like, "I got the Moderna." I'm like, "What? Did the nature spirits tell you to do this, or what? How could you be in this world of that bizarre, weird world, and actually fall prey to this nonsense?" I mean, I just can't even. It's like, wow, how is this possible?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I try not to like judge people for their vaccination status, because that's just creating another wedge of division and prejudice in our society. But I can agree with you. Like, how can someone of that kind of mindset fall for something like that?
It's amazing. I'm like, wow. I mean, I just feel like this must just be my path. Because I mean, I don't know. It's just so weird. I'm like, wow, shocking. Yeah, probably I'm being too judgmental, I guess. I don't know. I just am trying to
Well,
be
I don't
this.
know. I mean, I feel like we shouldn't, you know, draw that line like, oh, I hate them now because I heard they got the whatever, the shot or whatever. It's like,
Oh no, I don't hate anybody.
yeah, I know, but
I don't
I
hate
try not
anybody.
to like pass judgment, because I don't want to be judged either. but I am being judged. As soon as someone finds out that, as soon as someone who's has the shot finds out that I don't, they're like, oh, they're judging me. Like, oh, why didn't he do that? Like, or maybe they're like, oh, that guy's smart. He didn't freaking get this stupid thing that made me sick.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Wait a minute. Oh, I still need to do that one. Okay, I see.
Just pisses me off that that's a thing that you have to worry about now, is like your status. Although I was looking at like some concert venues and stuff locally, like Cervantes, they're no longer requiring
not right now. Go see some shows now because
the mandate or whatever. And like, some of these places are dropping that, but it could come back. I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention to what's going on with the new stuff, as far as if there's a new...
there's something that Paulus is doing. So yeah, whatever. God bless us.
There's a new if they've decided that the numbers are back up and they have to mandate stuff again. We strongly suggest you do this.
Yeah, we strongly suggest you do this, and if you don't, we're going to kill you. Okay. I don't really... I don't see where the strong suggestion is in there, but okay. Right. Yep. All right, maybe this is dry now and I can start doing sculpture. Hold on. 7:15. Let me look. Where are we at here?
7:12, yeah.
Nope, it's still wet as wet can be. Gah. Gack. I guess I'm going to have to just let this dry. Weird.
But like part of it too is like the information. You're like, how can this person who's getting all this information from plant divas and stuff fall?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
But maybe she's like, there's a lot of people that are into that kind of stuff, but they're also really completely brainwashed, into left-wing politics or right-wing politics. And so if you're super into that, those things, then that's part of the information you're taking in that's gonna, your processing is gonna come out, and you're gonna rationalize the need to get the gene therapy. Just because you watch NPR or whatever.
Right. I mean, I think it was probably peer pressure because I knew when I first, I noticed that she was very positioned about politics when, the big T was involved and anti that. And I was like, because that, I was like, how could I asked the question to myself, like, then I'm like, look, aren't they telling you about this? Like, because it's bullshit, but apparently not. Apparently she fell right for that. So I was surprised about that. And then she fell for this and I was like, huh. But I think they probably infiltrated there because that is power. It's a power thing. Like they infiltrated Findhorn because it was a power center of, David Spangler became a big hotshot there, and he's Tavistock Institute. So they couldn't have...
Has a lot of influence, so they had to
they couldn't have
weasel
people
their way
accessing power from other worlds, or like from this world, in that kind of a vortex situation, without them getting in there and, you know,
manipulating it too,
yeah,
or just like having their say
whatever they
about it,
do.
how
Yeah.
it's the rules are of engagement when you're doing that or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, if they made the mistake of allowing it to get, well, I mean, I don't think they did it on purpose. I mean, in the 60s, it just became known throughout um, the world that these people were able to grow this garden in this really remote and nasty climate by interacting with nature spirits. So
Mm-hmm.
that it's not like they, sought out popularity, but it just kind of took off on its own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know how that tends to happen to things that work,
Yeah, they have to be destroyed promptly.
or they get publicized and then they get co-opted.
Yeah, exactly. Sadly.
Got my flower being watered.
That's cool, man. That's
And,
cool. That's going to be a nice painting.
yeah.
What goes down on the bottom part?
The full, beautiful, lush strawberry plant
All right, cool.
with the fruit fully fruited,
Cool.
you know. Processing is the fire, wind, water, earth. That's why I like the plant metaphor for the trivium so much, because you got the seed that you input into the earth, and then you feed it all the four things of the esoteric quadrivium: water, earth, air, fire.
How is that math and all that? Relate that. Do you know how to relate that? The four to the liberal arts? Air,
Well,
fire.
the mathematics
Is that air?
and well, so the mathematics and cosmology are the would be the I guess I'm just relating them to masculine and feminine. So that those are the masculine, whereas the feminine is the art and the music, or the geometry and the music.
Oh, I wonder how they relate to air, fire, water, and earth, though.
Well, I would say that earth is probably the mathematics, because a lot of the sacred, well, this is the thing, that sacred geometry actually literally just means the measure of the earth, the sacred measure of earth.
Oh.
And so like that's why there's a lot of things are based off of that. Like, the pyramid is supposed to be like a scaled to represent the earth, and so I feel like the earth is kind of like mathematical. The air, see here, what would air be? Maybe air is kind of like music. And the art
I think it's water.
is maybe water. And then the fire
Or
would
maybe
be
it's
the
fire. Would be what? Fire is what?
I didn't say yet.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, the cosmology.
I don't know.
Maybe. Oh, I feel like I've seen this before. I just can't remember it right now. Or actually, maybe air is math, fire is cosmology, water is music, and earth is art, geometry. I think that's actually how it goes. That actually makes more sense because air and fire are both masculine and water and earth are both feminine. At least that's how I have it laid out in that other painting with the sacred geometry that I was doing.
All right, so I'm going to write
So
this down now. What say that again?
I think the mathematics and the air go together, and then cosmology and fire go together, and then water and music go together, and uh, earth and art or geometry go together.
Earth is geometry.
Uh-huh.
And then
Or art, because it's,
well,
that's
so
like it's like
so I have math, air, cosmology, fire, earth, geometry, and what's the last one going to be? Fire, art? No,
fire is cosmology. So there's four. So there's math and air,
water, art.
cosmology and fire, water and music, and earth and geometry. I feel like geometry and art are kind of the same.
Oh, so
Art, I would
water.
call it art slash geometry.
Okay, water. And then so water is what then?
Water is music.
Oh, music.
And that makes sense. You have the trickling of the water and the sound. I mean, I guess air makes sound too, but
No, I just wanted to.
which would make sense. The earth is like the material, like artwork kind of thing, the geometry, the actual structure of, things. Whereas air is pretty abstract, like math can be pretty abstract, right? Air is real abstract.
Super,
People,
super cerebral.
I feel like there's a time in humanity that we didn't even know air was a thing, because it's just you can't really see it.
What do you mean we didn't know air was a thing? Wasn't there always wind?
Well, there was, but we didn't really know like that it was a gas.
Who?
Primitive humans.
You think? Because this is all alchemical. I mean, those elements.
Yeah. Well, maybe we always did. I mean, it's part of natural law.
I mean, the thing is, I think that people were much more advanced in the past than they are now.
I think that you're probably right, and I think that that's why history is written the way it is, because they want us to think that we were dumb animals in the past, so that it entitles us more now, because we're like, oh, we're not dumb animals anymore. We're these intelligent human being things,
Yeah, right.
gods on earth,
Yuck.
right?
I mean, really, I mean, I just don't think so. It seems to me like we were extremely intelligent because, I mean, there's the theory about the Tartaria mud floods and another reset that came before this one, where they took away when we knew free energy, and the Tartarian architecture proves that we knew how to capture energy from the air,
Mhm.
And then there was this huge mud flood that like buried a lot of that architecture, and they've taken down a lot of that architecture because it doesn't make sense, because there's no way that humans could have built that architecture.
Mhm.
You
Well,
know,
I
these
heard they're destroying a lot of stuff over there in Jordan and stuff. I guess there's like some really magnificent structures and stuff over there that are getting taken out because they're like unexplained how they were built and stuff.
Oh yeah, isn't that sad? Like they're such
Yeah.
assholes. Yeah, exactly.
Like we can't let this get out that this exists because otherwise people will this puts our whole history narrative in question, you know. Which it should already be in question. And you know, that's why Graham Hancock's like, we're a species with amnesia because something's been hidden from us, you know. Like Gobekli Tepe is this crazy, they unearthed these awesome ruins and stuff, but like, you know, they can't explain how there was primitive humans could have built something like that.
Exactly. That's because we're primitive now.
Yeah, we are.
I have to take a moment. Nature's calling.
That happens. In the sun here. What time is that? Okay, better plug that in. So Trivium, input, processing, output. Not working up.
All right, I'm back. So this is not dry, so I can't do anything with it. So I'm gonna just have to put it like that. And I'll go back to the other.
Go.
And where's my scissors?
There you go.
Where's the scissors?
Don't lose those. Those are important.
What?
Don't lose those. Those are important.
Oh, I found them. See, that's the thing. As messy as it is, I always seem to find it, whatever it is. Somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow I find what I need in here. So the question is, I need to, well, I guess I'm just going to do it this way. If I don't like it, I can always do it again.
Yeah. Fail fast.
Huh?
Fail fast so you can move on and grow.
What?
Said fail fast so you can move on and grow.
Oh, fail fast so you can move on and grow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Well,
you're like, oh, I can always redo this. I'm like, yeah, fail fast.
yeah. Yeah, I know. I am going to do it that way. Wait, what am I doing? Oh, that's right. Yep. Well, I decided that for the self-defense principle, I'm going to do a thistle. And I'm going to do, because I love thistles. I love thistles, especially when they have all three of the stages on the same plant.
Well, it's pretty much is actually literal representation of self-defense.
I know. But then I get
Because
to
it's like,
do like,
where do you see a lot of thistles at? Where the earth has been disturbed violently.
oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
the thistle's the first thing to come back
Oh, I
usually.
didn't.
Like if you see like usually when you like see like a new house build, you know, they tractor, they dig everything up, and if you don't get like grass on there or sod or whatever on there quick enough, then thistles will just start popping up.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's part of the natural process. First, you have thistles. First, the weeds come in and they make the land healthy again so that the other native plants will eventually come back and the thistles will no longer be there.
Hmm.
But the thistles are actually defending that land. They're like, that's why they're all point pokey and stuff, because they're like a defense mechanism for that disturbed part of earth. You know.
I did not know that. No. All I know is that I love thistles, especially when you can see the three stages on the plant.
Yeah. Sometimes they're really beautiful too. Some of them flower into
That's
extremely
what I
pretty flowers.
mean. They're beautiful. There's very sacred geometry.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
just
definitely.
love thistles. I wasn't even thinking about that. I mean, I knew that they, define self-defense because they are so prickly, but I didn't know the other thing that you said.
Yeah, I don't know the whole uh, everything about that subject, but I did read something about that where it's like thistles. The reason thistles come in first is because they're actually healing that land, and like they come in first to heal the land so that the other native plants can come back and thrive there. And that's why, like, if you're trying to like sometimes it's like, you know, all these people try to grow this Kentucky bluegrass everywhere, right? Whatever. And sometimes if it's not the right environment, that's why you get a lot of weeds and stuff in it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's like unnatural for that type of grass to be there to begin with. So that's why like there's certain areas where there's beautiful like grassy fields, but there's no weeds in them because that's the grass that's supposed to be there. You know, with no maintenance, it's just like a natural grassy field that hasn't had like pesticides and weed killers dumped on it, you know. The big part of eastern Colorado was a huge grassland, or used to be. And there's like, I can't remember how many different grasses there were, but there's a lot. Some of them are like massive, like, you know, they grow like 12 foot tall. paint faster.
Huh?
Well,
Did you
I'll
just say
tell
paint?
myself, I'm telling myself to paint faster.
Why?
I'm just joking. Trying to be disciplinarian on myself.
Well, whatever.
Force myself to paint faster.
Well, it's 7:30, so.
Now I put too much Citrusol in my paint, so it's too watery. Oh well, happens. Yummy strawberry. Weird, like I think like humans are supposed to like be frugivores. I think we're supposed to just eat fruit.
Probably. I think that's what
The
Andy's doing now. That's the diet that
recommending.
well, that's the diet that guy from the 1800s whose name escapes me. He's a naturopath. He said that we should have, and that's the diet that naturopath in Port Charles, Florida promotes. And Andy just did a water fast, and that's what he's only eating fruit now too, I think.
Like what kind of fruit does he eat?
I have no idea. Probably what's local to New York, so apples and stuff. I don't really know, though. I didn't ask him.
Apples and just whatever.
Probably, grapefruits, and I don't know. I don't know. He said it's really hard.
Berries.
Really hard, he said.
I bet it is, because it takes a lot of fruit to fill you up.
I mean, I did that for a while, but just for a while, and I stopped. And I mean, dried fruit, I was eating a lot of dried fruit, but now I can't get it anymore.
You can't get dried fruit anymore?
I can get some, but some of it, like apricots, I can't get.
Huh. Where did you used to get it?
Natural grocers.
That's weird. I feel like my natural grocers always has all that stuff.
Oh, really? Well, I don't know. For some reason, they're not getting apricots. Haven't for like months.
My favorite, I love dried fruit. My favorites are dried pineapple and dried mangoes.
Oh, yeah. Mangoes are awesome, too. Yeah, I'm sure he's right about that. But I mean, about the.
I think that like the problem is we've been so programmed into eating all this other stuff that our bodies are used to eating all that other stuff. So when you try to go back to just eating fruit, your body has trouble with that. You know, you have to like kind of transition into something like that. You know?
Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like I do think that, I have that blood type too. That's, probably more alien DNA than other. So I don't know. I don't know.
The one reason I say that is just because my son, that's like all he likes to eat is fruit pretty much. And I'm like, maybe that there's something about to that, because like he's like a 3-year-old child, so he's closer to source, and he, maybe there's something to the fact that he loves berries and fruit.
But again, we're all different.
It's not always like, like the one time he's pigging out on these like strawberries and stuff or whatever, and they weren't even that good as strawberries.
Right, but again, we're all different. That's the thing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's what's weird about, like, I mean, I just did that experiment for myself, but then I had to have chicken, not chicken, but fish. Fish is the thing I have to have all the time now. It's weird. I don't know. So I don't know. I would have said that. I would have agreed with you back then, but I don't know.
I don't know. It's just kind of a theory. I don't have any really facts to back it up.
Yeah, that's cool that he's into that, because not all kids like fruit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Both of
that's
my
cool.
kids love fruit, and it's like they could, if they had their way, that's like all they would eat, not just fruit. I feel like.
That's amazing. Really,
Oh yeah,
that's amazing. Truly.
they love it. It's like if we're at the grocery store and I'm with my kids, they're making sure I get fruit in the cart.
I have to go. I have to go get my sketch. I'll be right back. Oh, hungry.
Yeah,
Talking about food.
I'm getting
So I
hungry
gotta look
too.
at my sketch. So here's the, let me see if I can show you. This is the thistle that I'm going to do. I don't know if you can see that or not, but.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
So I got to figure out. That's what I love is when a thistle has all three of these on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that. It's totally sacred geometry. Like the thorns on the thistle, when it's blooming from the side where, you see the big purple thing on top are in
Mm-hmm.
alignment. And then there's the one that's just green. And then you have another flower that's open, and that's totally sacred geometry. Oh my God. It's just so awesome. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I love it, love it, love it.
Cool
So,
stuff, right?
well, I love it. It's so cool. Just so cool. So nature's so cool. What did I just do with my pen?
Nature is cool.
Nature is so awesome. I mean, that experience that me and my friend had the other day was so amazing because I think we were outside for like 2 hours and we didn't even know that we were out there for that long. And we were doing that thing, and all
Mm-hmm.
the animals came over, and it was amazing. It
That's
was
awesome.
something else, man.
Where were you guys?
In Erie,
Okay,
in her backyard.
nice. That's
Yeah, it was
awesome.
like, I mean, it was so cool because we would say, ask a question, and then we would immediately hear like a crow would respond.
Oh yeah.
It was so cool. We were like, wow, this is weird. Like it was weird. And then in the end, after we'd done it for a while, um, we started talking about something that wasn't very positive. And
Uh-huh.
suddenly all the dogs started barking like madly. And
Oh
we
yeah.
and we were like, why are they barking like that? And then it occurred to us like maybe it was what we were talking about. So we just stopped talking about it.
Oh yeah.
And then the dogs just stopped barking. It was so weird. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. You know,
Right.
it was pretty amazing, honestly. I was like, wow, this is definitely worth paying attention to this. What's happening right here?
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was something else. Just because like we were and she brought her crystals outside, and then also I had been supposed to come up there to get a healing. She was going to do some healing work on me using asking the nature spirits for help and everything, but we didn't end up doing that because we did this instead. But then I ended up, my hip ended up getting healed anyway. That was also interesting because I was like, well, this just shows, like, instead of me seeking for personal gain, we were seeking for like help for humanity, and I ended up getting what I needed anyway. It was just really, it was neat, super neat.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's how it works. It's like if you put effort towards helping others, and you'll get help in return.
Yep, it was really neat. It was definitely beyond the veil type neat stuff.
Oh, yeah. Beyond the veil. Let's go behind the veil.
Yes, super, super, super.
Once back there, you can see the inner workings. Right.
Huh?
Oh, I'm just talking to myself about my painting. My strawberry blurred into the other strawberry. It's okay. They do that. They have a way of sharing their space like that. It's funny, like my son the other day, he's like coloring, and he's got a white crayon on white paper. He's like, it's not working. It's not working. So I had to like show him, like, look, the color is white and your paper is white. That's why it's not working.
That's funny.
Like, let's get you some black paper. He was just like, oh. So I got him some black paper, and he was like, oh, now it works. I'm like, see.
That's neat.
You just needed different color paper. It's working
really
fine.
Cool. That's neat.
It's just funny how kids are. It's not working. That's interesting. You're like talking about the 3 stages on the thistle.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that strange that there's 3?
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean.
The sacred trinity is there too.
Yeah, on the thistle, which, I mean, and being the thistle being the self-defense principle.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
Knowing how to use the trivium is like intellectual self-defense.
Yeah, exactly.
Or tool, at least a tool for intellectual self-defense.
Definitely. I mean, definitely. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I love when I see thistles, especially, is when you have one plant and it's got all 3 stages on the one plant. It's just so cool.
And like what are the stages that are all on there?
Well, one is the one where you can see the thistle, like the spiny part, but the flower purple poof out is up on top.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the one that's just the seed that hasn't blossomed yet, but it's all spiny. And then you see a flower that's completely open. and it's got
Mm-hmm.
like a purple center and maybe green leaves or whatever they are.
Right.
But in each one, it's super sacred geometry like this. Like this is the open flower one. Like
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah.
And then the top one will have the poofy part, and then this
Okay.
one will just be a seed with spines. But they're all
Okay.
kind of together
Right.
like that. I
You've
just
got the
realized.
flower, the seed, and like the fruit
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
all
and they're all
together.
together. Like they're all sitting together, like the
Mm-hmm.
Father, the Holy Spirit, and the child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
And actually, I think I'm going to do that way. On this.
I guess these strawberries kind of have the same thing that I'm painting here, because
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
the flower and then the seeds are on the fruit, and
yeah,
then the fruit.
yeah. Exactly. That's why you can see, like, why. I mean, I think it's so important. Nature shows you everything
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh yeah.
itself. All of natural law is displayed in nature all the time.
Uh-huh.
But you could blow right by it. You know, you could never see
Oh
it.
yeah.
Okay, I gotta look at that.
Or that color. All right. Maybe with the whole fruit diet thing, it could just be like, it takes a while to like transition into something like that. You can't just rip off the band-aid and be like, oh, I just eat fruit now.
Oh God, no.
Your body would go into shock. You do that.
What did I do with the pencil sharpener? What did I do with the pencil sharpener?
I found a nice surprise in my desk drawer earlier today.
What was that?
A pencil sharpener that was dumped out in there.
Oh, really? Oh, that was dumped out? Bummer.
Yeah, so there's like all these like, like wood like filings in there and
Oh,
stuff.
that's
Like,
a
oh
drag.
great. Luckily it like was only kind of secluded to one area of the drawer, so I was able to clean it up fairly easily, but it could have been a lot worse.
I have to find a picture of the thistle picture. Oops, it's 4 minutes till.
Yeah, I know. We're coming towards the tail end of tonight's salon session.
See, this is the one where it's blooming. That one.
Nice.
Let's see if I can find one with 3. I have pictures of my own somewhere, but where they are at the moment, I don't know. Oh, and then the bee, I could put a bee on there.
Oh yeah, I was gonna put a bee in here too on the processing part of this. The flower's friend, the bee. So I've been having fun with this one.
Ow. Yeah, I didn't know that about this thistle coming back first. No idea. I mean, maybe it brings nitrogen up from deep within or something.
Yeah, I don't know what all the explanation for why it is, but it's a thing. It's like one of the healing plants that comes in first and heals the land so the native plants can grow there again. And that process is like long. It doesn't
Long, right?
happen like, yeah, like that might take like a decade. You know what I mean? For that to happen, the whole process of healing that land. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like with the thistle coming in and like growing there for a while. Like, yeah, it takes a long time. It's not like overnight. It's not like one year thistles grow there and then the next year you have the native plants. No.
Right, I know, because it's in the back, our back behind our house. There's like a bunch of thistles back there,
Mhm.
and I mean, I think it's been like that for quite some time.
Mhm.
But there's
And there's
also
other
probably.
factors too, probably that go in with that situation, like as far as, that area just keeps getting trampled, so it doesn't really ever get a chance to fully heal. Like certain things just they keep getting re-trampled and destroyed, so they don't ever really get that chance to heal fully. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's our see here, what is our subject for next week? I think we start getting into all the principles, the Hermetic principles
Oh, goody.
next. So I don't know if that's something we should spend a whole week on each principle, or if we should.
Oh, yeah. Don't you think?
Yeah, we could. Or if we want to move things along quicker and just kind of spend a little bit of time on each principle and move on to the next thing. Which, let's see here, I got so far on my spreadsheet, I only have up to the natural law principles, which are also could be called the Hermetic principles.
Well, I think we should talk about them one at a time.
I'd say that would probably be a good way to do it.
Because we need to have, topics. And this,
Yeah, so
I mean, we
that'll
talked
last
about,
us until like July, pretty much.
yeah. Yep. Sounds good.
Let's see here. What was I looking for? Oh, yeah, I was going to look at something before we fully sign off here. We could even go in to just like before we even get into the principles, we could go into what is a principle to begin with. Which we'll probably
Sure.
I don't know if we'll spend a whole day on what a principle is, but we'll start off the conversation next week with, what is a principle, and why these principles are so important to pay attention to. So yeah,
Sounds good.
we look forward to hanging out with you guys again next week, and we'll be talking about the principles, natural law principles. There are 7 with the 8th hidden principle, and we'll get into all that in the following weeks here. And so the first principle we're gonna dive into will be mentalism. So we look forward to speaking with you next week in that regard. If you feel like joining the conversation, go to drawingnaturein.com and click on the button for a free consultation. And in that consultation, we'll show you kind of set up so people can see what you're doing while you're working on your artwork, and also we'll get you the link to be in the Zoom meeting. So yeah, go ahead, and if you want to be a part of that, go to drawingnaturein.com, and we will have a human to human conversation with you. We're not going to send you through the rigmarole of a bunch of automated stuff. You'll schedule an appointment with us, and if you're not local, where we can actually physically meet with you, we will have a Zoom conversation with you and get you all the information you need to be part of what we're doing here. And if you're new and you don't really know how to do art, we have courses that you can sign up for where you can learn how to actually create artwork. And so we can also, if that's something that interests you, we can cover that in the consultation as well. So we look forward to hanging out with you next week. Until then, this is unless Joanna has anything else you'd like to add, we're ready to sign off for this week.
Nope. That's it for me. Maybe by next week I'll have the thistle ready to go, or I'll be doing the other one, which might be dry now. All righty.
we look forward to seeing you all next week.
Sounds good. Take care, Woody. I'll talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
you